Hey everybody, welcome back to
Yeah.
the Tabletop Spotlight.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'm Adam.
And I'm Matt.
We're here from Bowls. We're here to talk about some cool news for the tabletop space, and it's a new year.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
We last were here.
First week in January, I think. Or January.
First
First week in December.
Yeah, I think the 10th, December 10th,
Yeah.
something like that. So, what have you been up to since we've been
Man,
gone?
it's been a nice break.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of stuff happen outside of the Tabletop Spotlight, but
Sure.
I got to play some board games over the break. I had a lot of fun. I'll get into that in a minute. But Matt, what about you? You were
So,
you had a fun time.
I did not do a whole lot of gaming because I took I don't know if I had alluded to this at all. I took a sort of road trip around because we are here in Austin, Texas, and I got as far as Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get as far as Seattle, but pipe dreams often don't work out like you planned. But I had a great time. Too. Yeah, there was that big weather storm because this was like mid to late December, and there was that huge storm that came in. So and my Prius was not too happy about it.
I'm glad you made it back in one piece, though.
No, it was a great time. I had a lot of fun. I got to see mountains, trees, and snow. Those were my main three goals, and I got to see plenty of those up in Colorado. So
very cool.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
But while I was out venturing the world, what'd you get up to?
I got up to some gaming. A lot of gaming, tabletop gaming and video games. It was a blast overall. I think tabletop wise, the most exciting thing for me was because it was the holidays and we had basically the week between Christmas and New Year's. There were some friends that came in from out of town. Some old friends came in from out of town, and we organized a big event for Arkham Horror. Well, big for us. For Arkham Horror, the card game, we ran the Blob That Ate Everything scenario. We had a 13-player event, which was just our friends that...
That's wild.
We put out an email to our main board game group, me and another organizer. We put out the email to our main group and some others, and we had a pretty good response.
Apparently.
Back. So we had
Is
four
the scenario
tables.
built for that many people?
Yeah. So the Blob That Ate Everything is a unique scenario. It was originally released at a Gen Con as an event, and it scales based on the number of players up to I think they had 192 or 98 players at the main event there at Gen Con.
Okay.
Yeah, it's scale. It can keep going too. Like the way the scenario works, the way the thing works is up to 4 players form basically a pod, a table, which is a standard Arkham Horror size game for up to 4 players, right? And you get as long as you have a scenario pack for each set of 4 players, you can keep going. We had 4 decks. We broke up into 4 tables. We had a table of 3, we had 3 tables of 3 and a table of 4, which is 13 players.
That's math.
That's how math works. And I was trying to break it up as evenly as possible.
Makes sense.
Did a lot of Excel slide rolling around. We had to organize
Get out the abacus.
Yeah. I had to not only organize the who all was coming and figure out like table seating. We also had to build decks and sleeve cards,
drinks.
get snacks, drink. Yeah, there was a lot of logistics in the background.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We had to bring over an extra table and chairs to my friend's house who was hosting, so at least that was taken care of. But aside from the human element of just logistically planning and herding 13 cats, that is board gaming in general, right? Yeah. We actually got to sit down and play the scenario. We had a couple of brand new players who had never played Arkham before.
Yeah.
So I had to do pretty well.
Okay.
Pretty well. They're caught on very quick. It's not a complicated game,
right? So
that helps. But I did a little preamble of how to play. Gave them the basics. Each table had a table captain that was a veteran player, so they could. Smart. I was thinking ahead.
Yeah.
I ended up building myself, like with my collection. I built like 6 decks. I think another buddy built 4. And another 4 or 5, and then
just from spares you had.
Well, I've got all the cards,
right?
So he's got all the investigator cards too. So between the two of us, we were able to build decks for a number of players because there was a lot of overlap.
You can duplicate in this scenario just because you.
So the only thing rules wise, we had max XP that we were like, you can't spend more than 39 XP. So whatever, and not all decks had spent all the XP, but basically when we were deck building, like the one main thing was no copying investigators. Okay. But in terms of like, because we were going to be playing at different tables, we're like, if somebody is taking this specific ally and somebody else is taking that one, it's fine. But we are also limited by our collections, right? So I may only have 2 copies of that specific ally card. I'm thinking specifically of like Dr. Christopher Milani's a very popular Seeker card. I was like, well, we've got 4 Seekers or whatever, so I only have one play set of that card, so only one Seeker is going to get that particular card. And then he's like, well, I've got a copy, so that could be my table. I was like, all right, well, what about the other 2? So,
I hope they don't care.
Yeah, and I think we only end up running 3 Seekers now, but it was fun. So,
interesting.
Yeah, we had some limitations on deck building with XP restrictions and no copies of investigators, but within there, we kind of had to play it by table and based on restrictions. Anyway, got it all set up, got it all going. With the way it scales, by the way, is the more players, the more hit points the blob has. Sure. And it's a shared global health pool for the big boss, which is the blob that ate everything.
Sure.
And
there's people to shout 3 damage.
Yeah, well, we had actually, it was pretty slick. We set up he has a computer hooked up to his TV. Sure. So we had like basically a whiteboard on the digital version. I made a little image too, which was really fun that we had. So every time as the TO/player, I was going to the tables and checking like, hey, what's your damage and your clue value right now? And we'd pull all that off and then go report back to the main screen.
Very cool.
So just updated. It was a lot of fun. It took longer than planned.
Yeah.
By about 2 hours over the recommended limit. But that's because we had new players. Instead of having a person run it, which would have been the smart thing, I was playing in it. So
so you're sort of dual role.
Yeah, so my table had to like slow down while another table was pretty self-sufficient and they were just going. But it was fine. Everybody had a really good time. We asked for feedback at the end, like, hey, is this something we could, did you guys like the format? Could we do this more often? Is a big group games kind of fun? And it was a blast. I think the biggest hurdle is just finding the time to get that many players together to do a thing.
Yeah. It's very easy when you're a kid to be like, oh, come over this weekend. And you're like, yeah. Okay.
But when you have those kids, I don't, but other people did. Right. And it's like they had to get babysitters and they had to, we also had to run this during the week. It wasn't like the weekend. People had time off because of the holiday, but like that's not a normal thing.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it was a lot of fun. The newer players were like, "Hey, I want to. You guys play again? Like, let me know." So,
no, that's how you get them.
Yeah, it was a blast. We did manage to win.
Good.
Which was a big it came down to the wire as it
always does.
We had one table that got wiped out, like they went to the end. And you can play asynchronously, so some people were going a little faster than other tables, which was fine. And it really did come down to like the last couple of turns where it ended up being like the main location has a thing where you can spend countermeasures to do damage to the blob. Sure. And basically, of the tables, everybody had something covering up that location. They just kind of forgot, like, oh, that's an ability. Right. We all forgot about it. And then one of the other tables walks up to me and like, hey, we got the blob down to how many hit points? And I was like, well, that table just did like 24 damage. It had an awesome damage turn. Like, well, that's awesome. So it's got like, what, 3 hit points left? And he's like, yeah. So we can just spend a countermeasure at the central location to do damage to the blob for 3 damage. And I was like, what? We had 5 countermeasures. Everybody was like, wait, what? And so it was just like, we did it! Like, everybody was freaking out.
Oh, that's fun.
So
no, that's great.
We pushed the red win button at the very end.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. So it was, that was a blast. Other than Arkham Horror, which I could talk about all day, we had we started a Darkest Dungeon campaign.
Oh,
so my buddy kickstarted that.
I know Clint has been on that as well. We have a copy that I've been dying to dig into and just haven't had time yet, obviously.
Hopefully we'll get in more of that this year. It's a really cool game system. I think they translated... it was a video game, as you all know. Right. And was ported over to a board game. And I think they did a really cool job of not only capturing the art style...
I mean, the art style is the same.
Yeah, like, they took 2D sprites and made them 3D and 3D models, and it's really cool. Yeah. They captured the art style, they captured the themes and the vibes of the game really well, they captured the abilities really well, it translates really well, and most importantly, most impressively, I think, the combat system with the different stances, the aggressive, defensive, support, and ranged and support stances. That whole system with pushing and pulling enemies around and stuff like that, that translated really well and works really cool with the tile system that they have for combat. So it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to play more Darkest Dungeon now.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm even more excited to like jump in because, like I said, we have a copy. I just haven't cracked it open.
Yeah,
yet.
it's really well done. So I'm looking forward to an exciting 2023.
Yeah, there's a lot of big things coming up, including some of the things that we are gonna talk about right after this.
And we're back. Big shout out to our friends at Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. They're the ones that have hooked us up with the products we're about to show off. And you can pick them up this very weekend from your favorite local game store. If you're in Austin, you can go to DL or wherever you are. I'm sure it'd be a fun time as a way to kick off the new year. Yeah. So, Matt.
So
what do you got?
We are starting off, since we were just talking about Darkest Dungeon, I thought it would make sense to start with Darkest Souls.
I think it's just Dark Souls.
Just dark. We'll get there. Darker Souls, Darkest Souls.
Gotcha.
Most Darkest Souls.
Yep.
But so
the souliest, darkiest.
This is the Dark Souls RPG source book, campaign book, whatever.
Role playing game book. Yeah.
Role playing game core rule book. Whatever.
From Steve Jackson, right?
Not Steamforged.
Steamforged.
Wrong SFG.
Yeah.
Or abbreviations are hard,
Yeah. We're just coming back off a break. Give me
we're out of practice. But this is based off the 5e rule set, so you know it already. You've played it a million times.
Yep.
But it is everything Dark Souls. There's monster, and also, before I forget, they have a bunch of really cool miniatures out already they come with their monster cards, so you can just plop those in, even if you did just have like a Forgotten Realms campaign setting. You could fight some, oh god, I don't even know any Dark Souls monsters. The Blight Knight or something. I haven't played Dark Souls in a while, and I'm sure I'm getting confused with Elden Ring and all
the Souls games.
I mean, they're fun.
They are.
I like them, but they're all very similar.
If you've ever wanted to play a Souls game, but an RPG version...
I got a little off topic. Yes. This is, like I said, it is just a full source book. They have all of the weapons and items and monsters and class. This is just tables and tables of spells and items and rules. It is not a complete rework by any means, but it is using a lot of the same mechanics with just plopping more on top to make it more Souls-like.
Yeah, what's cool about the system is obviously if you play 5th edition, you know how to play that. It's the same D20 system. That hasn't changed really. Mm-hmm. They added, not really added, some of some of the variant rules for
well, they do have a bunch of new classes.
Yeah.
They maybe not all,
but I'm talking the core variant rule, the bloodied mechanic, right?
Sure.
So if you're under half health, you can get bloodied, and that can trigger some effects, which is one of the cool things they've not added because it wasn't new, but incorporated, I guess is a better word for it.
There's and let me make sure. Yes, there are brand new classes, brand new magic system.
Yep.
There's they take the concepts and mechanics of 5e and they all get expanded on in a
Dark Souls vibe.
In a way that sort of makes it, I don't want to say, I'm trying to avoid using the word difficult because RPGs are still RPGs, but a little more tense, a little more that Dark Souls struggling uphill kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Which 5e does. Challenging.
Yeah.
Because 5e is very you're the heroes. You're gonna win, but maybe you'll have a few hiccups along the way if you're playing the Dark Souls.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new RPG bolt-on whatever campaign.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-contained. You can play right from this book, and this is also the source book for the game. So lots of backstory, lots of lore, lots of tables,
ton of new monsters, all that as well.
Yep, drop you in there. It's $49.95, available right now at your favorite local game store. Go check it out.
Very cool.
Changing gears a little bit, let's talk miniatures real fast. we've got the Star Wars Legion crashed X-Wing. It comes with, this is a train set, by the way.
This is a very cool terrain.
Yeah, set. A very cool piece of terrain. If you've, obviously, it's set on an ice planet. Maybe it's Hoth, maybe it's not. I don't know.
There's probably others.
Yeah. Lots of crashed X-Wing. It looks like it's a blue squad. Anyway, doesn't matter. Is it a T-70 or a T-65?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's a T-70. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point being, it is a crashed X-Wing. It's painted like it could be snow, but you could paint it however you wanted. It's just rocks and rebels. There's also speaking of rebels, there's a rebel pilot mini that's incorporated here with this too. You can kind of see on the back all the cool stuff. It's just a cool terrain piece. So it's a cool thing to throw onto your battlefield and start playing. Or something to spruce up your battlefield when you're
playing. I mean, because like everyone's got hills, but like, you know,
having a set piece to fight over,
like this is really neat. I love the detail. The line work on the X-wing is really nice. There's just a lot of fine cut edging. I don't know the word. I'm not a hobbyist, but it's just it's a really,
panel work. There's a lot of panels.
I guess. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of detail. It's really cool, and especially when you paint it up this way, it does really, tell a story.
It's a good focal point to fight over to objectively. You could make this about objectives, or just narratively.
There's a data slate in the cockpit.
Yeah, exactly.
And first one to get it, something.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of goes from there. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool looking. It's $99.99. It's one of the bigger terrain sets from Atomic Mass Games and Asmodee. So yeah, go check it out. Star Wars Legion players, I would keep an eye out for more terrain sets. I'm pretty sure they're doing more stuff. I know they're doing a bunch of stuff for Marvel Crisis Protocol too. So. Very cool kits from Atomic Mass Games. Go check them out. You want to do that one next?
No, I'm trying to think of a good segue, but I don't got one. I was going to do like if you want more of those, you'll have to make a deal with the devil.
But you won't.
Got there. Yeah. You won't have to, because they'll do it anyway. But so this is Deal with the Devil by, I want to make sure I get the name right, but it's not printed on here, by the same designer who made Alchemists, both released by Czech City Edition Games. Or Czech Games Edition.
Czech City, yeah.
I don't know where that came from. But if you played Alchemists, you'll know it was one of the first games to like really take that Euro style. And I love Alchemists, by the way. I've played it a million times. I think I've written about it once or twice. Anyway, but the premise of the game is like a Euro style game, but there's like another mechanic layered on top of it, which in case of Alchemist was like, those logic grid games where like Susie hates anyone who wears blue and then Tommy only wears blue paint. It was like one of those games in like that was one of the main mechanics of Alchemists. Deal with the Devil takes that same concept of here's a Euro style game, you're getting resources, you're, buying and selling and trading and you're getting buildings and that kind of typical
it's an engine
Euro
builder,
stuff.
Resource manager.
Yes, it has all of that. But on top of it is this really interesting hidden role economic element where so the game requires 4 players.
Yeah, 4 and exactly 4.
Right. No more, no less. And 1 player is the devil. 1 player is their like cultist helper, and then the other 2 are just humans. And the game uses these chest things that sort of like slide open. You can hide tokens in there, as well as an app. And then there's QR codes on the back of each chest, so you like scan. And there's the whole system, not really worth getting into. It works, trust me.
Yeah, so just to be clear, on top of the board game, it is app assisted. You will need the app, and you have to play with 4 players. And I know some people are like, I don't want to play with an app. No. You want it works. This isn't one of those games where you can do it all in the app or do it on the board.
Game will not work.
Yeah, it's incorporated really, really well, and importantly, it's not all on the app or all on the board. And the other thing is just there as a gimmick. No. You need them both.
The only thing the app really does is it lets you. So basically, the way it works is you'll put your things that you are offering, and as the human players, it could be parts of your soul. and you can trade those to the devil, and the devil has not like infinite resource, but way more resources than everyone else. So, the devil, you put that in your little chest and you seal it closed, and then you scan it over the app, and then the app tells you who to give each chest to. And you wouldn't be able to know who to do that. You wouldn't know who to give the chest to unless, it was marked in some way. So anyway.
And you don't know who the other players are. This is a hidden role game too. Yeah, which is why the app is so important, because it helps keep things secret.
But it's a really interesting, and like I said, I love Alchemist. I'm really interested to try this one out, because it does also have, as you make more deals with the devil, the Church Inquisition starts becoming suspicious, and and they start getting on your back about it, and and then on top of it, the gameplay itself of having a very Euro style, engine builder, buy these resources, buy these buildings, It's all the gameplay that I really like, and how much based on how much I love Alchemist, I think I would also really like to deal with the devil.
Yeah, if you played Alchemist and was like, this is way too complicated, this might not be for you. But if you played Alchemist and was like, that was a lot of fun, I want more of that, check this one out.
This is I wouldn't call this like a heavy game. I'll give this like a 3 out of 5 in terms of like complexity. That feels, and I haven't played it yet, so I don't know, but just based on the research I've done, it feels somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Slightly above average.
Yeah.
So that's the
like a 3.5.
3.5. We'll give it a 3.5.
Yeah. Go check that one out. That's pretty cool. Deal with the Devil. Next, I want to talk about Blade Runner.
Hey.
The RPG and the starter box. So this is from Free League. This is the Blade Runner RPG and starter box. The Blade Runner system, it's an RPG system, as you all know. The system is set in the year 2037, as opposed to the most recent Blade Runner or the first Blade Runner. It's kind of in the middle there.
Wait, how many Blade Runners are there?
There's 2 Blade Runner movies.
Oh, okay, yes, I understand. Okay, yeah, I get it.
This is kind of set, again, 2037. The rule system uses, and I want to make sure I get this right, the Year Zero engine, which if you're not familiar, it's a D6, D8, D10, and D12 system. You need 2 of each. You start with a base roll. You're trying to get 6s. Anything over a 6 is a success. You can get more dice on your roll with your skill levels and upgrades and stuff like that. So it's a very simple system with just rolling over a 6+ for a success.
Sure.
And then there's advantages and disadvantages. You can get more dice to your pool. Core mechanic wise, very straightforward. In terms of the setting in RPG, it's freaking Blade Runner. You play as Blade Runners. You can be who, if you're not familiar, you chase down rogue replicants.
I've never seen Blade Runner.
Retire them. Yeah,
I have no idea what's going on.
So you're a cop. You're a part of the LAPD's.
It's Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're part of the LAPD's. I think they're called replicant detection unit.
Makes sense.
And you, the game master is basically the one running. They're the captain / game runner. They're like, they're giving you your orders, your case files.
Sure.
That you're gonna play through. Well,
chief.
Police chief, kind of. It's
right.
I mean, they're really
turn in your badge and gun.
Yeah, they're everything. They're everything but the Blade Runners, and it's cool because as the Blade Runner, you can be a human, you can be a replicant, you could even be a secret replicant in your character creation. So there are classes that you can get. It seems like a really cool system if you've ever wanted to play as a Blade Runner, if you like that tech noir vibe with the neon and the gritty, and
I do love those things.
It's that cyberpunk but not punk. It's cyber noir. I don't know what it is.
Right.
It's Blade Runner, man. Like flying cars and rogue robots and secret plots. What's really cool about this system too is the starter set has a bunch of cases you can work. The way the game is supposed to be kind of set up is you actually, like, because you're police, you get case files, and it's one of the few RPGs I've seen that it actually encourages players to split up, because there are time mechanics in the game where you might be working your shift which might represent anywhere from 5 to 10 hours in game time, and stuff is happening. Because it's supposed to be real time,
yeah,
right? So
no, I love that.
Your police, you split off maybe in pairs, maybe you go solo, you go to different locations, you're interrogating different suspects, you're interviewing witnesses. You have to do all these things to kind of get your clues to help track down maybe a rogue replicant, maybe a Wallace Corp, Johnny is on the run and you have to go track him down. There's lots of stories to tell in Blade Runner. This is the core book to do that. And of course, the starter set to help get you going there. The starter set comes with an 80-page condensed version of this rule book. It's got a 56-page book called Electric Dreams.
Huge map.
Yeah, it's got a massive full-color map of LA in the year 2037, which is not that far off anymore.
No, not really.
And there's a time tracker again because of the time mechanics in the game. It comes with all the dice you'll need as well. Some case files to play in. The book itself is gorgeous. It's by Free League. It's got a bunch of these charts, lots of cool artwork. I mean,
that is very cool.
So it's got guns. It's got classes and stuff to play, blueprints, all that. Yeah, all that cool. It's even got like standard procedures for how to run your case if you want to.
No, I really like because this is honestly the first I'm really hearing about how the system works.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of it being kind of real time, like the handful of D&D games that I've DM'd. Yeah. I always try to keep some semblance of real time going, just because the villains are doing things while you're spending your third day in a row sleeping, to recover all your spell slots.
I'm going to rest for 8 hours, and we're going to go fight in the cave, and then I'm going to rest for 8 more hours.
Right. Well, in the meantime, the necromancer is kidnapping more children or whatever.
Yeah, so it's cool. It seems like a cool system.
Yeah, again, absolutely.
It's set in that gritty tech noir style of Blade Runner, which go watch the movie, the Harrison Ford version. Go watch the latest one. It's fun too. Sure. I liked it. I don't know. It was visually mind blowing. It's a little slow, but Blade Runner is also a little slow movie. So
noted.
Keep that in mind. But it's RPG, man. Go.
No, that's very
exciting. Some moral quandaries too, whether or not the replicants.
I hate those.
Are they real people? Are they people? Do they deserve rights? Are they just robots? Blah, 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 property, whatever. So there's all that fun moral stuff to play with if you want to, or you just go blasting some replicants because you're the Blade Runner and you can do that. So go check out these products. They're available this weekend again from Free League and very cool stuff.
All right, I got
also
one
famous movie.
Last thing.
The Blade Runners you could consider almost like Terminators. Oh!
So, this is the Terminator RPG.
I got you.
Okay. So this is the Terminator RPG based off specifically the first Terminator movie, but the rules will allow for playing in any era from, present day, Judgment Day, future, wherever you want to within the ultimate timeline. It uses Nightfall Games' S5S system, which uses a series of 6d10. We have your 1 success die and then your 5 skill die. That's the S and then 5S.
Makes sense.
And it gives a lot of variance just because the S5S system is kind of designed to be less, all right, you did it. You got the DC, check that box.
Yeah.
And it's much more sort of a gradient of like how much your success failed or succeeded, and it plays in that space a lot more, and it's a really interesting kind of mechanic, especially for something like Terminator, where it's hard to like really kill a Terminator, but like if you can do like little granule bits of damage, I feel like it does sort of lend itself well to that kind of setting.
But it's Terminator RPG book. This one's the core rule book. If you want to play, again, like Matt was saying, various locations through time. This is the campaign book, which I want to say it had like 15 or so stories or something.
I don't know.
Maybe that was something. It's a framework to run your campaigns with. There's obviously a lot of plot hooks and stories to chew through here. it's interesting too because it's based around the first Terminator movie with some of the time displacement stuff happening. I mean, you guys, we all know how time travel can work in the movies. Right. And if you've kept up with the series, you know that like Skynet may have sent more Terminators back to various points in time to do other things too. So there's a lot of leeway to play with here, and then on top of that, you can also play in the post-apocalyptic, post-Judgment Day world.
And then especially when there's time travel involved, maybe you just play a fantasy world, but there's a Terminator. Like, you know, you can do whatever you want. It's your world. Have fun with it.
Going back in time to kill the...
King Arthur
to stop... I don't know... To not stop Skynet. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's time travel. Have fun with it.
You want to get timey-wimey and wibbly-wobbly?
Exactly.
With Terminators.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely would love to.
Yeah. It's also... it's not just a RPG book, too. This is like all of the setting... What is it?
Like...
Source book.
Source book.
Yeah, thank you. It's the source book for the entire... That era of the game. So lots of stuff to work with there. There's lots. If you've ever watched Terminator and thought, man, I want to play around in that world.
I do not want to play around in that world.
I'm
sure the game's a lot of fun, but what a terrible world.
I wouldn't want to live in that world, but I wouldn't mind playing an RPG.
Okay, no, that's fair. I would like to play in the world, but so long as I could just leave.
Yeah.
As long as fantasy and reality don't merge. But
yeah, please don't. Skynet. Please don't Skynet.
I'm very kind to all of my electronics, specifically because when they rise up, I want them to know I'm one of the cool ones.
Rise of the Machines. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, go check these out. They're available right now. The core book is $55 and the campaign book is $37.50. If you're gonna dive in, I would probably pick both of them up because
it's a really cool system. I like the sort of the fact that gradient is a good way of putting it. It's just it gives you a lot more narrative tools to use, especially as like a GM. Well, you succeeded, but very cool.
You hit it, but didn't hit it hard enough, or you hacked the system, but didn't hack far enough, or way better, you got even more information.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to play in that space, and that's always nice. For sure.
Yeah. And that's gonna do it, man.
That's all I got.
That's a pretty good chunk of stuff for our first show back. I mean, we had two of the greatest sci-fi franchises of all time show up on the start of the new year here with Terminator and Blade Runner as RPGs. There we go. And some very cool other board game stuff to check out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, big thanks to our friends at Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy for the spread this week. And we will be back next week with another Tabletop Spotlight. I'm Adam.
And I'm Matt.
We're from Bowls. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.